Now, I'm going to make unprocessed cheese slices. Vegan unprocessed cheese slices, obviously. I'm making a lasagna. I'm also making pizzas, but I'm not going to use this for the pizza this time. We want to try a different cheese. But I'm making lasagna, and this is something you'd use for cheese melties too. Or sometimes I make Seitan pie and put some cheese through it, and I would use this. So you start off with vegan butter. So we have our nuttolets, plain flour, 1 cup of unsweetened soy milk, 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast, tomato paste, some salt, again with the minced garlic and not the garlic powder, and some Agar. We thought we'd do a shout out to Kia around the corner with her Asian supermarket, because often she'll have vegan things there that are a lot cheaper than vegan supermarkets. So that's the Fat supermarket, I think it says, or it might be Day. I've never asked her. I just say, hello Kia, lovely woman at Albert Park. So it's just great. It's wonderful. She's wonderful. And this is where we get the Agar from. It says powdered. There is some English on there. This is one of the problems, obviously. Sometimes there's not very much English, but usually I can get someone to help me. So that's the best thing. And Kia knows more about herbal medicine and what's good for this and what's good for that than most people I know. Then it's probably somebody you'd go and see. Yes, very wonderful woman. Okay, there we go. So we've got all the ingredients. You'll need a big saucepan, which is somewhere under there. And we will start. Okay, so back to it. Getting all my products together. I'm going to use 3 tablespoons of nuttolets. Okay, so I've got my pan on just slightly. My nuttolets has now melted. So I will now add 4 tablespoons of plain flour.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So basically we're making a roux at the beginning. Always be careful not to let the bottom stick. It's difficult. I do have, what's the correct term, an immersion blender for this, if it gets lumpy, which, you know, gone are the days where you had to put it through a sieve and lose half of it. So there we go, that went really quickly. Now I'm going to add some soy milk, some unsweetened soy milk. So I'm going to add probably 1 1/4 cups. Don't know where my 1/4 cup's gone, so we will do what I always do. We will guesstimate. So I probably should have added that slowly, as you would when you're making a roux. This will turn out, it was only a small amount of milk. Okay. There we go. Turn your pan around, then you can see what's happening on the other side. On the far side of the pan. There you go. It's starting to thicken up. This is easy. I'm sorry if I ever make anything look hard, but this is easy. Making a roux is easy. Take your time and take it a bit slower. I don't always. I'll turn it up. And anyway, with this and adding agar, you really have to cook agar for a while. So it's going to be slow when we get to that. I like to get the roux done. Get it a nice consistency. No lumps. Look at that. Did I sieve that flour? I didn't. I open a new pack of flour, always makes such a difference. That looks good. Now I'm going to add all the other ingredients before I add the agar. Tiny bit of minced garlic powder. That says 1/8 of a teaspoon. It's probably more than I want. A tiny bit minced garlic. Just going to add a bit more milk to that. Bonus, get extra cheese. It's just getting that little bit too lumpy. I have got my stove on the lower setting, but I have used the biggest element, so that will make a difference. 3 teaspoons of tomato paste. I don't want it to look or taste too tomatoey, so you know, you could start off with 2. Oh yeah, that would be alright. 3. I don't know why I've got the oil here from making pizza dough. Okay, better not add oil to it. Okay, we do have a different colour now. A little bit of salt. Just a tiny bit. And a little bit more milk because it's looking a bit like it needs some more milk. So I started off with 1 1/4 cups. I've got more milk in there now. The little bits in there, if you can see that, that's because I used a garlic and onion and herb pizza sauce tomato paste. I suppose it's not tomato paste, but we all like it, so it's nice. Okay, 1/3 of a cup of nutritional yeast is going in here. Now I'm going to use my Agar. I'll have to measure it out and see. So that's a big tablespoon, isn't it? So probably a tablespoon. Yes, to get it nice and thick. Now you have to keep this on the stove and slowly cook it, like I said, and probably you're going to have to taste it for texture. I'm just going to add a bit more milk. I actually don't want, I mean, you're adding the agar to set it, not to thicken it, and I don't want my cheese that thick. So I'm going to change this recipe. I'm going to put 2 cups of soy milk. This has just ended up so thick. I think I usually have a fair amount of it anyway. And like I said, now we're just cooking to get a nice thickness. To get rid of the agar, to get the nice texture there, because it can, agar, if you've never used it before, I should say, can have quite a gritty feel, texture in the mouth if you haven't dissolved it enough. So you want to make sure you're going to get it dissolved. So we have stirred it vigorously for approximately 3 minutes. And then you slowly cook it for another 3 minutes. And then, like I said earlier, you need to taste test it. So all the agar has to be melted. You want a nice texture. And so there's to be no gritty taste. I mean, I'm sure at this point, if you still weren't happy, well, I've done it before, with the flavour of your cheese, you could add some more nutritional yeast, or if you want a bit more tomato taste in it, whatever. You could still do that, but it's essential that you do get rid of that agar grittiness. And so you just stand here and make sure the bottom doesn't stick, and make sure it all goes through. And see the consistency. And then we're going to spread it out onto a tray. Okay, now we're going to lay our cheese out onto a tray for it to set in the fridge. So, Glad wrap. And more Glad wrap, and more Glad wrap. So you want to be able to double the Glad wrap over. Now I haven't waited for this to cool down. I suppose you could. If I wait for it to cool down, there might be too many people with trying to make melties out of this. And like I said, I want it for lasagna. So now we're just going to get the whole lot of it. Put it on here. It's really hot. I always remind myself that people do wrap food in Glad wrap and put it in boiling water and don't get sick, because sort of putting hot food on plastic like this is not something I like to do, but sometimes it's necessary, and yeah, people don't get sick. Okay, so now we're just going to get all of this, and yeah, it can still be messy, and you just have to keep palleting it, try and get it all into the corners. I mean, depending on what you're using it for, if you're going to do what I'll show you later and make slices of it and put it on baking paper, then yeah, I suppose you want it to be of all the same thickness. Quite honestly, there's been times when I've been a bit caught for time and I've got to this consistency and just ladled it onto my pies, onto my Seitan, onto my lasagna, and it's all worked out fine. It's easier if you have slices, obviously, you know. If anyone knows an easier way to do this, please let me know. Because I try not to fuss too much, but then I do, and it will take me far too long. Nutritional yeast isn't cheap, but I suppose this is cheaper than using nuts. Sometimes I make a beautiful cashew nut cream sauce that I have with Indian food, with curries, that I think if I stopped making it, I'd get into lots of trouble. Wouldn't I, Sarah?
Yes, it wouldn't be the same without the cashew sort of cream sauce on top of your masala curry.
Yes. The thing is, in life, you all try different flavours, different tastes. I love nutritional yeast for cream, for the extra texture, and of course, it's a good source of nutrients and vitamins.
You're not a real vegan until you learn to love the nooch.
If you haven't had it before, I think you'll like the flavour. I have been told I need to drape the Glad wrap on the film over the top. Okay. And then you can get this, it's come out a bit there, that won't matter. None of it will matter. And you can even it out a bit more. So yes, it was probably worth it. And you could leave it like that overnight too. So I was thinking about leaving it overnight, making my lasagna early, because some of my daughters want to get up and make some matcha cupcakes. But I probably won't. I'll get the baking paper out and show you how to cut it and store it in slices, because we're going to need this tray later on for making pizza. Do you want to see my pizza dough? I've had to make pizza dough. It's rising nice, hey? There you go. Because I looked for pizza bases, which we used to be able to find, and we couldn't find any without whey powder. So now I'm making my pizza dough. We have made this before. Never get around shape. Oh well, we'll get there one day. Then again, we don't want to waste it. Okay, there we go. Right, if you have two trays the same, you can just pop one on top of that and just slightly push it down, and you'll get a nice even amount. It won't have all holes and dips in it. So there you go. So like I said, I'm going to do the sliced version, although I don't need slices because I'm going to use it on a lasagna. But you get your Glad bait and you put it over there like that. Taking the Glad wrap off, and then you flip it, and you take the rest of your Glad wrap off, and then you get another piece of a Glad bag. And as I told you, the little dark spots, they're herbs. You don't have to use that if you're not into herbs, or you could put a whole lot more herbs in it because it would be tasty. And then you put this over the top, and it's not sticking that way. Probably could have done with a bit of extra piece. And then you start doing something like sewing, like cutting out. So let's see, measuring time, 30 by say 36. And so 4 9s are 36, so I'm going to do mine in 9 lots. So it's 9 centimeters, 18, 27, and the end. Right, down the bottom. Don't forget, use a pencil, your pens will go straight through this. And then do one in the middle, roundabouts. So you have a guide. Now we're going to measure down and go 9, 18. I'm using a charcoal pencil for this. Just seem to get a better mark that way. And then the other side. So even denting in will probably be good enough. I'm actually not going to pick this up. As long as you can sort of follow a line to cut it. Works over my thumb. There we go. Okay, so good old kitchen scissors. And just start cutting. You'll get your slices like that. And then you'll store all this like this with the paper either side so it doesn't get all sticky in the fridge. And as you want a piece of cheese, maybe for a melted cheese sandwich, you can just go and grab some. Or if you want to put it on a pie or lasagna, it's very, very easy. I mean, let's face it, anyone can cut a square. Okay, maybe I'll just show you the consistency so you have an idea. So it's like that. And it will just nicely melt. And it can like brown up a little bit in the oven if you put a top layer for your lasagna. It does look very nice and tastes beautiful. Thank you. There we go. I think I've finished with my melty cheese.